Hi, welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev.
Good day.
Hey, sister, what is transpiring in your world?
So,
As she laughs. It's a loaded
yeah,
question.
remember I said, so during the last session, well, I'll tell you that. Remember during the last session, I think I spoke about sometimes you're just not ready to forgive a person. And then maybe if it wasn't the last, I think it was the last time. If
That
it
was
wasn't,
last
then
week.
okay. And I'm all good with that. So then I'm sitting here because something has transpired since almost immediately afterwards, but we'll have that conversation shortly. So I'm going into the secret language of your body, right?
Oh, we
Because
love
I didn't
that
look at
book,
it.
by the way. We love that book.
We do. And it talks about left hand because there's something that goes on there. And it says holds more feminine energy, complications from holding on to hurts from your family. And it says mother, sister, wife, daughter. I wouldn't say it so much, but I would say holding on to family hurts, feeling isolated and lonely, not so much, not knowing how to take care of yourself sometimes, or to find a clear path or direction. A lot of times, a lot of times I think I'm on this path and I've got it. We have those days like we've had epiphanies, everything is going great. It couldn't be any better. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not in that space now because we're in a moment, right? But then I go through my moments. And it says resisting life and looking for handouts rather than taking charge, handling situations and learning from these to become stronger and more empowered, which I am learning how to become stronger and more empowered. So last week, after we got done, I went in to make myself a smoothie. And I decided I had cut my avocado in half and everything like that. And I had the seed in it. And normally I take a butter knife and I'll kind of hit it across the top of it because it connects into it. I'll twist it and pull it out. Well, for a couple times that week, I had been using a knife and just poking a knife into the seed and then twisting it and pulling it out, like poking it in. Well, this day I'm poking it in, the seed rolls, and the blade goes right into my hand. It freaking hurt like hell. I'll tell you that much right now. And then we had to go. Freeman took me down to fat or urgent care. So the guy says, I can give you 5 stitches. And I think it probably could have used maybe 4 or something. Freeman said 3 and leave some open stuff. But we decided, or we could do the glue that they have a medical glue and some
Super
little
glue.
strips. Yep. Well, it's like a super glue, but it doesn't crystallize the same way. So it actually hardens almost like glass. So we opted for that thing. Well, in the meantime, I can't do any massages. I can't.
Right.
And he said 10 to 14 days. Well, I thought, well, for me in my mind, because I'm always doing this, trying to push myself to be able to do it. I can start tomorrow. There's no way in hell. I have a sore on my hand. I do massage. I can't do the massage. I could do it one-handed, but it's not the same. Someone rubbing your neck one-handed. Yes, I can be therapeutic and help out, but it's not the same as you don't get the same benefit as that stretching of certain areas. So it's like processing all that. And then I just happened to start reading that when I sat down. So I was like, oh, why don't I just go ahead and look that up? And then I saw it and it's like I was holding on to hurts. Well, so since then, so we're all on our journey here and we're sharing our journey with you guys. Since then, I actually wrote a letter that I'll never send. I burned it afterwards. And I recommend, because like the day before, because Saturday I was like really in the space. Like I was I felt a lot of anger being flushed out of me. That's the way it felt. Like there's anger and it needed to come forth and come out. And that probably was the ideal day to do it. And I didn't do it. So I wrote the letter that I won't send the next day. I just wrote it. And it's just, I included a lot of things into it. And then I also included into that at the end of it, how I want my life to be, where I see it going, or even better. So like I went through this whole process and I've been in a kind of space, I guess. And it could be from the releasing of that stuff. And even this morning, I didn't want to get out of bed. I just really didn't want to. And then it's like, I just want to do the things that I want to do whenever I want to do it. I don't want to have to be time constrained to things. I like the flow of life of going and talking to people. It could be just at the grocery store or just us having conversations like this. There's more to things, and I'm going through a growth right now. I can feel because when we get into these spaces, it really just shows me that I'm really determining what do I want in my life and what don't I want in my life. Like, where do I want to go from here? Because normally, so I haven't worked since the week before last. So because I would have started working Wednesday, so I haven't worked since Saturday, over a week ago. And normally I'm like missing it, like, oh, I really need to go back in there, and I'm not. So it's just recognizing where you're at with things too. So I'm just taking the time to notice these things, also not being able to work out like I would want to. So a lot of the things that I would normally do, not being able to do, and it's really slowed me down a lot. Because I was at a time, here I am in this process in my mind. I'm going to get all my credit cards paid off. This was my goal. I'm working extra hours. I'm seeing extra people. I'm working every Saturday. I had been working every Saturday, and I'm doing certain things. I'm doing certain things to do this, and it was going along great. And then all of a sudden this happened. And it just slowed me down. It just took me off that path of trying to get it all taken care of. So I'm at a point like, what can I do? So I'll figure out where that goes from. Even to shuffle my deck of cards, I can't, because I cut it and it's right. I mean, you can kind of see it, but it's like right in that crease area. And it's just, there's not a whole lot I can do with it. I can't do a lot of movements. And I even tried doing a lot more yesterday, and I was hurting from it. So I'm going to let it go for a little bit longer so it can heal itself. Right.
I have so much to say.
That's where I'm at. So this is where I'm at right now. But it's not the end of the world, even though sometimes it does feel like that in those moments. It does. And then my mind sees, well, Easter's coming up and I want to get the grandkids Easter baskets. So now it's processing, figuring out how I'm, managing everything. So it's an interesting process. And all the while, every single freaking reading I've had, every time I pull cards, everything is always constantly telling me how abundant, that there's the windfall coming to me. Like there's all this stuff constantly. I'm like, okay, well, show me the money, honey.
Right.
Yeah, because I keep getting that. And so I know it's coming. It's almost an excitement. And I guess that's the part where we're listening to Esther, right? Esther channeling Abraham, because it's enjoying the journey to get to there. Because look at the stuff that I'm processing that I've already just told you in the last few minutes.
Is that my
It's
cue?
pretty awesome.
Speak now?
Do what?
I said, is that my cue? Can I speak now?
Go.
She's like, and go. I don't know why, but it's like, look up palmistry and see what that line means, because it's right on that line. I don't know what
I think it's the lifeline, I thought.
So that just popped in at the last minute. As far as your cards, you can just go back to the whole 52 card pickup.
That's true. We've joked about that around here. So yeah, that is a true story.
Also, though, we also know that left side it's on the left side.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's feminine energy.
Yeah.
I know for myself that for a long time, whenever I would get injured, it would be on my feminine side, the left side, because I was not giving attention to it. That's because I was living so much in my masculine energy, which is survival. I was completely in survival mode and not connected in a healthy way to the feminine energy. And it's also, hands being open to receive. So when you talk about the abundance, that you're already abundant, you have a lot of prosperity already, that stopping that energy flow of abundance coming in. Those were some things that just came to me while you were talking. So we are such powerful and magical beings. It's so amazing how we can, when we're so focused on what we don't have or what we think we're lacking, and how things will happen physically to make us get a different perspective, right? Also, the feminine energy is about slowing down. It's about tuning in. It's about being connected and honoring yourself. And so you even mentioned that slowing down. I was like, oh, that's feminine energy right there. So there's also the idea too that, for a while you're just like, okay, I'm going to be slowing down because I know I'm going in a new direction, slowing down with massage. And I'm going to go in this new direction, just don't know what it looks like yet. and then you ramp up the massage so you can pay off your bills. And in a subconscious level, because you've already put the seeds in there that you're moving in a different direction. So in a subconscious level, it could be that, you're like, well, this wasn't the plan. This isn't what I want to do, is be doing massages for more time than what I was wanting to do. Right. So that also can put us. So there's so many dynamics when it comes to when we self-sabotage ourselves, or the universe is saying, we're gonna stop you right here. So it's really, there's, like I've already mentioned, how many different scenarios or how many things it could be. So it's for the audience and ourselves as well. We sit down and we're like, okay, what could this be? What could be transpiring from this? What could have led up to this? What is my thought process? How am I feeling? Right? So we take into all these different things to account for, and then what really resonates, right? What's really what's the strongest underlying cause of this? And you got to sift through it. There's not just one. Anytime there's something going on, it's not just one thing. Just say it's not just one thing. It's a compilation of things. But what's, to me, I go, okay, well, which one's the most prominent? Which one's the strongest that is really getting to me, eating at me, right? You can say getting under my skin, or how am I cutting myself off, right? You get into the language and the verbiage, and it can actually be very, I like to be inquisitive about myself. I like to be curious about myself. And so language is important, words, feelings, the emotion behind it. So it's taking into account all of it. It's not just one, it's like a lot. And then just kind of sifting through it. Where do I want to start? Right. And it may not even be that strongest, most evident thing that's really getting to you. It may be too strong for you to start there. Okay, well, what's something else I can start or look at and then start changing? That would be a little easier for me to do at this moment, because even the little things add up to resolving the big things. Some people like to just dive in, get the big thing done, be done, right? Like in business, they're like, okay, what's the one thing you could do today that's really going to help you move forward? Not all the little things. What's the one big thing in business? This is why I talk about this a lot. What's the one big thing you could accomplish today? And get that done, because then all the little things are going to just seem like nothing. They'll just easy peasy. So when it comes to transformation or healing or growth, expansion, that one big thing, it might be too overwhelming for you at the moment, and it's okay. At least you know it's there and you're aware of it. So if a similar situation shows up, you'll be like, damn, I should have taken care of it. Not necessarily, you don't want to shoot on yourself, but it just being lighthearted about it. It's like, yeah, it's still there. And it's just going to keep showing up until I do something to heal that piece. So like we talked about the forgiveness, maybe you're not ready to give. It's okay. It's your choice. Nobody's telling you you have to do it. It's highly recommended, especially if you're on a transformational journey, because as long as that energy is in you, it's going to keep popping up in different ways until you look at it and release it or heal it or do your process with it. And, and I shared in that conversation what Matt Kahn had said was, instead of saying, I forgive you, just say, I no longer blame you, right? Just changing that energy of it. So, so we all have options. We all have choices. Nothing's right or wrong. It's just where you're at in the moment, and it's okay. It's like, give yourself ease and grace. You can handle what you can handle right in the moment. You can handle what you can handle. And whatever that looks like for you is going to be different for me, for Bev, for anybody else. So it's my 2 cents. Maybe I was 10.
Awesome.
It's just, really helping, we talk about this a lot. It's just helping people understand that you don't have to take these gigantic, ginormous steps in your transformation. You just don't. You got to love yourself where you're at. And even like Bev been doing, how long you been on this journey, right? And for years, and then you cut yourself. You're like, what the hell now? Right? Just like, son of a bitch. Really? We're still dealing with this? Yeah, we sure are. Because this is how we can get your attention.
Yeah. No, and I know for me, I know it was, I mean, I read the book, but it's like I can go back to that time. I knew right away that it was for me to slow down. I knew right away.
Yeah.
Right away. Because I plan on going out through this year, and then that's it. And it's like I'm feeling like I'm getting told opposite. Like, here we go. The CD player is not working. There was a couple of things that have happened at the space and stuff, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. And it was so funny. Did I already tell you that? It was so funny. My first 2 clients to radio, the CD player worked just fine. And then the second client left, and I walked over and I thought, well, I forgot to turn on my fountain. So I plugged in the fountain, and then I went to the bathroom, came back out, and then it's like, where's the music at? So as soon as I turn on the fountain, the music's like, you don't need us anymore. You got the fountain. So it just immediately, just like that, that was it. It wasn't going to do anything. So it's funny. It's just interesting how these things kind of show up. And then the next client's like, well, I said, let me see if I can get this going. And he said, sometimes when we're out and about and we hear all the music and stuff, sometimes it's just noise anymore. So it's just nice just to hear the water fountain. Okay. So I just let it go. Well, I mean, I wasn't stressed about it, but it was just a little bit different because I don't even know for how many years I've been in that space, but we've always had music in there. So it was interesting.
And like, he was okay with it. He was just like, yeah.
Perfectly fine. And then I haven't, forget about it. I don't remember it until I get into the office. Now we're talking about it, but I get into the office. It's like, oh yeah, the CD player is not working.
CD player.
Yeah. It's just interesting. It's interesting, the whole journey, the messages that are coming through, and it's when those things come up, it's asking. And I even joked around here. I'm like, yeah, one might think that I stabbed a knife into my hand to give myself a break. One might think. I joked around about it. So it's like, going back to that conversation, it's subtle messages. It wasn't like, oh, you were being an asshole, Bev. This is what happens. You don't want to forgive. This is what happens. I mean, it looks good on the paper to look at that. It's like, oh yeah, that kind of makes a little bit of sense. But also the receiving part made sense that you were saying, and I know that. And I've had to allow myself to receive help because I can't do things. And immediately I had to keep my hand like this the whole time.
Yeah, but here's what I'm thinking too about the receiving is, you're thinking that the massage is the only avenue to get the money to pay your bills.
Oh, no.
When you have these other gifts that have come into you that you've not allowed yourself to blossom with,
that I'll agree with.
Back from where you don't use your hands to do that, right? You can just sit and have conversations, and that
absolutely
it could flow that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, no, I know there's so many other forms. I'm always telling the universe.
When do you want to schedule that gathering?
Oh, well, when they want to come in. No, but they haven't gotten back to me to come in. I've asked a couple of times.
You got to stay on it. That's marketing, it's business. You got to stay on and remind them, or just say date and time, showing up. Are you showing up? Okay. Anyway.
I don't recall.
That's so rude. Totally interrupted you.
So how's it going?
So, well, even that, letting people know that you think that your job is the only avenue for prosperity, or that one thing is the only avenue for money to flow in. When you think about multimillionaires and billionaires, they have multiple streams of income, multiple streams. They have multiple businesses. They have investments. They have, doesn't matter. There's thousands of ways, if not millions of ways, how money can come into your experience. But it's being open, right? Open to receive that. I just wanted to remind our audience of that topic, because I've done the same thing too. I'm not immune to this whole thing. I've done it too when it comes to money. I got to work harder. So that money, and that's, and that's actually, I already drew my card for this month. It's out of Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine's angel book or angel cards. And my card for this month out of this deck is 10 of Fire. It says, you're working too hard and have put in too many hours. There's need to balance the professional and personal sides of your life. You're trying to do too much. A good first step is to be willing to accept assistance from others. There's hope for a successful resolution to your situation or project. However, it's best if you cut unnecessary or burdensome activities from your schedule. Slow your pace to a more comfortable level. So the whole time you were talking, I'm like, oh my God, that's totally my card this month.
That's awesome.
So it's that has affirmed to me that, I mean, when I'm not working, sitting here at my desk working on my business, when I'm out and doing other things, I am in my head about classes and setting them up and like still doing the business process in my head. And that's all masculine energy. That's do. The feminine energy of business is the creativity of it. So where I go to the gym, they have these hydro massage beds and I just love it. So yummy. It's my gift to me when I get done with my workout. And yesterday I'm just laying there and I'm like, okay. And I am like having this internal conversation with myself. What do I need to do in this moment? Well, I just need to relax. I need to enjoy this moment and embrace this sensation of this water pulsating up and down my body. And as I relax into that, the business started flowing in, but it was more so the creativity part. It was, oh, okay, well, if I do this and this and this, and then this, and then this step, and then like, it totally solved a thing that I was working on.
Cool.
So it's incorporating the masculine do and the feminine creativity and letting there be harmony in the two.
Nice. Yeah, because sometimes I feel like that's just another form of distraction if we spend all of our time thinking about our work.
Yeah.
And not having balance with the rest of your experiences, not yours, but anybody's experiences. And that was something I had even noticed recently. I don't even remember how it came up, but it went along those lines. It's just all these distractions that keep us from being able to listen to ourselves, to be able to deal with the emotions that you have inside of yourself. But a lot of times, and even for me, I would say I kept everything clean. Well, it wasn't always clean. Usually it wasn't like that, but I was always doing something. I was cleaning the house. I was working out in the yard. I was always doing something. And the whole time, not even realizing that was another form of escapism. Just not even at that time, I couldn't have dealt with a lot of the emotional issues that I was feeling. And I would, if you would have said you have emotional issues, I would have said, no, I don't. But I can tell, I know looking back when I kept myself that busy to work 40 plus hours a week, plus have kids, plus do yard, plus, spend all my waking hours. When a weekend came around, I was either doing laundry and doing weeds or doing all this, all these things, and then trying to make it work and then start another work week again, which I I've thought about numerous times of even being able to be in that same space and have that energy. It's not even a matter of having the energy. I'm just not willing. I'm not willing to put myself out to spread myself so thin anymore. And then although I started to, but I was able to do my massages. I've been able to do them. I've felt good. I've been able to get through them. And even the conversation, I've been able to get through them. Some of them are freaking fantastic, and some of them are not sure what the purpose is of each other and with myself and that person's experience and them and mine. So, and then that provokes questioning that gets me wondering, what's this all about? Why is this person showing up in my experience?
Yeah.
Even to the person that has made me feel uncomfortable enough that I, from a spiritual way, trying to handle things from a nice way, that I'm not going to see that person again. But and on the other aspect of it, just talking to the angels, and I think it'll just all work its way out. There's not a vibrational frequency match, but it's interesting when they show up, because then it's like, why was that in my experience? How did that person show up into this experience?
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but it's not even the blame game. It's just kind of an interesting thing. Why is it showing up in my experience? What was that person?
Yeah.
I don't know what they were hoping for. It wasn't, when you meet someone and you don't have a reading off of someone. I've realized for a very long time, you pick up stuff from people, and sometimes it's not so great.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's walking through a gym and at Gold's Gym when I was in Phoenix, and knowing he's a lady collector like that. I never talked that way, but in my mind, I heard lady collector. Oh, okay. Kind of steer clear. I mean, I can be friendly and nice. Hi, but that's the extent of it.
Right.
It's just paying attention to all these little messages. I'm listening to that message or that interview with Alex and Donald Neil Walsh this morning, and he's talking about his experiences. And it's just interesting because he's saying, like, his first book was Talking to God, or I don't remember what it was called, some answers from God or something. I can't remember exactly right now, but he was getting this information, and he says we all do it. It's the same thing, but people call it so many different things. It's your intuition, it's your internal guide, it's your mediumship, it's all the stuff, and we've got so many different millions of labels on it. And really, it's all the conversation of talking to God. To me, that makes like, oh, okay. Well, that kind of makes kind of great sense, because we're all part of God anyway. So we're all God, or aspects of God, however we all want to look at it. So I find it fascinating how this is where we're at right now.
I just had a thought, it cracked me up. They have the networking businesses, multi-level marketing businesses, right? Of course, you start at the low ground, and then you build your team. And as you build your team and expand, and you move up in rank, right? I just got that vision of God. There's God, the archangels, angels, ascended masters, right? And they're just like, and here we are on earth. Sorry. It just cracked me up. I was like, oh, that's a great analogy. God is a multi-level marketing system.
That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, it's all the information is just trickled all down, right?
Yeah.
Some people connect to their ancestors. Some people connect to their deceased loved ones. Some people connect to their ascended masters, archangels, or God, Buddha, Yahweh, Allah, Kuan Yin, like Jesus. There's all these entities, but all of us are descendants of God. We're all part of God. We're all in that energy, of that source. That source is in us, and that's our direct connection. But based on culture and religion and upbringing and beliefs and all the things, just depends on who are you connecting to.
And then who do you want to connect to? And sometimes that doesn't always work out either, but I feel like maybe that's a natural thing. I don't know, but I can visualize I'll all of a sudden know my mom's here or Jim's here. My brother doesn't pop in very often. He's usually more of the playful, the joker, the, those kind of things will pop in, but I can actually get a visualization almost as if their template is over my template. Like it's almost like I can see their body through my body. Like I can see, if I'm sitting here and I was thinking about Jim, like I can see and almost feel that I had the mustache, the goatee area. Like I can see all of it. I can see it from the inside out. And it's strange, and I haven't played with it too much at all. So like I said, I have all these great ass things, and I'm always talking to God, and I know that these things kind of come up for a certain way. I know for me, okay, don't meditate today. Go ahead, don't make time for it. That's fine. Thumbs up. And then see how you feel later on. Because for me, yeah, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. It feels chaotic. It feels uncontrolled chaos is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Versus the actual meditation. And I'm not even into the place. Alex will talk about he's into that blissful place. I want to be in the blissful place, but not addicted to it. Do you know what I mean? It feels like sometimes when they're talking about it, which would be so easy. It'd be so easy to be in that space. And then it's like, is it addiction or is it, I don't know from this physical experience. I believe that is our natural state of being, that we're in a joyful, loving, blissful place. I think that's our natural space, but we don't recognize it because we're in it all the time. And now we came for this human experience to find our way back to this blissful place. And now it's trying to bring it into here. So it would go back to your card. It would just be within balance, really. It'd be doing it within balance with everything else, still going out and seeing the world and doing things. So it's really, it's whatever we want.
Yeah. We've talked about that, meditation can become addictive in the sense of an escape, just like playing a game or
thinking all the time, right?
Yeah. So, but like this hydro massage bed that I sit on is 10 minutes. That's it. 10 minutes. Yeah. And I know that information that came to me in helping me clear up a process for my business, 3 to 5 minutes of that, maybe, of me, getting the information and then putting it in line, right? And understanding it, the process. So meditation absolutely feels amazing when you make it a regular practice, but not an addictive behavior. And I've been practicing Joe Dispenza's meditation lately and for a while now, and it's just under an hour. That is the longest I've sat with a meditation practice for an extended period of time. It's always been anywhere from 2 minutes to like 30 minutes, like somewhere in there, most times around 20, like super, this is it, we're done. Like my body, there's an internal clock that says, 20 minutes. Okay, we're done. And then I get all fidgety or my mind starts going or something happens. It's like the alarm clock went off, So I like to use it for clarity. I love the messages that come through. I love the guidance that comes through. And I'm like, okay, if I can just sit, just take some deep breaths, just slow down the thought process, be with my breathing, it allows the space, allows the cracks for the information to filter into so that I can receive it on a conscious level. I'm still conscious and get the answers that's going to help me, or get the information that's going to help me continue with ease, right? It's with ease instead of struggling and pounding your head against the wall and just beating yourself up. It's like, no, if I can just slow down a minute. and let the information come. We're here to help you. We're here. We have the information. We got the guidance. We've got everything you need. We have it for you. The universe speaking, we have it for you. You have to let it in. We can't make you do that part. We can't make you do that process. We can't make you sit and breathe, and we can't make you do that. But we can provide you what you want. So it's a co-creative process. It is not a, here you go, universe, take care of it. No, you have to take action in your own life as well to meet the crossroads where things come to fruition. So you're going, south to north, north to south, and they're going east to west. You're going to meet in the center of that crossing so that, oh, there it is. Got it. You have to take action in your own life, moving in the direction of what you want, which means you're focusing on what you want, visualizing what you want, feeling now what it is you want for the universe to receive that information to help. And asking, right? We're always asking.
Always.
So that is our receivers. Our receivers.
So the Joe Dispenza, the meditation you're listening to, is that where he talks, is guiding you through like long, deep breaths, holding it?
Yeah.
That's how you start out. I'll tell you, for most people, if you feel like you're falling asleep, because I've done it, I've listened to his meditation, but if for people that feel like they're falling asleep and stuff, he guides you through his meditation, which it's really about breath. And breath is so great because it moves the oxygen through the body. It's great for every part of our this vessel that we're in. It's great for it. And it helps you, because I can do it and it's like, holy crap, that's a long time to be holding your breath. Really is. But he stays kind of upbeat the whole time, like keeping you into this place. And then I noticed his tones would change. That way you're not, because if he talked in his regular voice, I'd imagine I would probably drift off like I had to on some of them anyways. But he keeps going because it's bringing you in. It's taking you on this roller coaster ride, basically, but where you're listening and you're not drifting so much, but you're listening. That's really what it boils down to. You're listening. And then that listening allows you to receive. Because you're listening, you're allowing yourself, you're in the space of receiving just by being in that space. It's pretty good. I would recommend it.
The name of it is Tuning into New Potentials Meditation.
Yeah.
In his book, Becoming Supernatural. But the reasons, now in his book, it explains in detail. So, I don't remember all the terminology, scientific terms and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to remember all that. Not unless I have to. Get the book. But the book explains every step of what he's doing in that meditation and why.
Awesome.
And it's interesting because it's almost like backwards. So he introduces you to the meditation at the beginning of the book, but throughout the book, he explains why he's doing each one of those steps of the meditation. And the breathing, right? He tells you to squeeze the perineum, pull in your abdomen and squeeze and breathe up the spine into the top of your head. Well, he explains in his book why every one of those steps is important. And I'm just now reading, and I'm like towards the end of the book, of the squeezing of the perineum, the abdominal muscles, it sends the spinal fluid up to the brain, which is helping the activation of the pineal gland in connecting to no thing, being that sending out those waves of that. It's like your attraction. So when you're doing your visualization in the meditation, the activation of the waves, the frequency waves, is putting that going out so that then they come in with what you desire, right? So it's that attraction factor, but it's opening up that pineal gland. And it's so phenomenal how I'm like, wait, he explained that when you're doing that as well, that the plate, like there's platelets in your skull or something, in your brain, that when you're sending that pressure up into your head, it creates space between. So if your platelets are like this, they kind of separate a little bit. Just this, like, real, So, anyways, the explanation, I can't even explain it properly, but the explanation of it is, it really, I mean, it's mind blowing. It's like, we could do all this and no, why don't we all know this? Why?
But that's the thing. This is where that's where school is important. These are the things to bring into school. Also, just the same act of just bringing your attention to all those muscles is a grounding, because we're now in the root chakra. It really is. But scientifically, of course, he's scientific about it. He always has been. Even the heart math stuff, like everything he does, he's been on this journey, which is so wonderful. But like I said, this is beneficial for our kids. This has been not only for us, but it's beneficial for the kids. So they have an understanding that, so they don't feel like or associate themselves with that angry parent.
Yeah. And
I don't have to push against it or anything. They can just be neutral about it.
Yeah. And and around the pineal gland, there's crystals.
Mhm.
These crystals, he said, are like a quarter of the size of a strand of hair. I'm like, everything that he's written, it just is it's exciting to me. I love reading this stuff because it's so exciting to me, because it's more of an understanding of us, of our body, of what it can do, what we are capable of, but we got to know how to play.
Yeah.
And that meditation absolutely keeps you present, because you're listening to him. You're doing what he's, guiding you to do. And yeah, his voice up and down, he even says, come on, ride the wave. He's encouraging. It's up and then it's low, and it's wonderful. It absolutely is wonderful. And then it incorporates the visualization and the sensation of the emotions into the process. So yeah.
It's pretty interesting, but and it takes it away from being woo woo. People think, oh, there's crystals around your third eye. Well, there's crystals in your ears too.
Yeah.
Like there's crystals in there. And I know that was before I even knew anything about crystals, I had ended up with vertigo. And that was, they said what happens is the crystal will break loose. Usually it happens from a trauma, like a head injury or something else, but it doesn't have to. It could be supertension. It could be a lot of different things that can create it. And that one of those crystals drops off in the air, your whole equilibrium, your balance is totally thrown off. So yes, crystals do exist inside your body.
The body.
Yes. So I find it fascinating because, like I said, he takes it away from what people consider woo-woo. So it's getting more people out there. It's fascinating to me that how many different directions spirituality is. And not because I would consider that another form of, it's on your path. It's helping you grow on your path, and it's getting you connected, but for different reasons. Everyone, it's just fascinating to me how many different avenues that are out there to get our attention, to help us, to hook us, to bring us into our path, to bring us back into this enlightened state, a joyful state. Because then we can create so much. Then it's fun. Like we're like, oh my God, I struggled for this many years because I thought I was going to retire from that job and I was going to stay in this marriage and I was going to do this, or whatever it is. A lot of times people stay in things because it's a familiar, but it's letting you know there's so many other avenues.
And if I would have read this book 20 years ago, nope, wouldn't even understand what the hell he was talking about.
It would have been too much. It would have been overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
But things always show up.
I read a book in my mid-30s on holograms and how we're hologram, and it was so beyond what I could comprehend at the time. I didn't even understand.
Nobody planned to see.
Yeah, but that was one of the books like I suffered through at that time. There's got to be something in here I gotta know, right? well, yeah, I read the book, and now, 20 years later, not even 20, 10 years, 15 years later, something came up about holograms. And so bam, what did it trigger? I'm like, oh yeah, I read that book, and oh my gosh. Yeah, now I get it. Now that somebody else is explaining it, now I can hear it. If I was to read the book again, I'd probably be totally amazed by it.
Yeah, you'd be blown away that they had this much information even
Right.
then. And how do we not know this? It's the
Right.
same thing for me. It's the same thing when Freeman was just a friend and he was telling me about parallel lives, and I thought he was freaking wackadoo. Like, parallel lives, whatever. And now it's like,
You're
now
like,
it's like, it's part of my conversation because it's all happening at the same time. All the stuff is happening at the same time. It's so crazy. We try to put such time frames on everything, and that sounds crazy, but it makes sense to me now. So if you don't get it, that's fine. I mean, not you, but anybody else. Because I didn't for a while either. I thought that was just the craziest thing ever. Then I started having experiences or things that were coming up. It just made sense.
yeah. Yep. And then, now you think about the movies that were made back in the 80s and early 90s, where they're the sci-fi movies and stuff, where they were more comedy type things, where they're wearing the aluminum foil hats and stuff. I'm like, we have crystals in our head that send out brainwave frequencies. No shit. So if you see me with aluminum hat, no, I won't wear one because I'm excited about it.
Hey, we have, I think there's silver. We have some hats that have silver in to cut out some of the 5G and stuff like that. All I can say is I have had a few experiences where I have felt so, sometimes it's such a headache. It feels like so much energy is coming in. It feels like there's so much. As soon as I put that hat on, the headache goes away. The tension goes away, everything. And that was before I even knew what it was for. I remember one time I was having what we think was like a silent migraine. It was, I couldn't move. There was just something going on inside of my body. We were sitting outside and I felt like a weird vibration. I started feeling nauseated while I was sitting out there. And it kept coming. And then finally, it's like, I was trying to make myself sit out here because I'm looking at the stars, right? And then I'm like, oh, I can't do this anymore. And I went in, I think I tossed and turned. I went and finally slept on the couch for a while because I couldn't, if I moved, it felt bad. I just felt sick, and everything ached, and something was wrong. And then I'm laying there and he brought me out one of these hats. He's like, here, put this on. And I'm like, okay, like whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
And I said, how long is it going to take for this to happen? He said, you should know within like 5 minutes. And I probably would say within, I don't know, maybe it was 5 or 10 minutes. Maybe it was less than that, but I felt better. I wasn't 100%, but it gave me that relief. So I think there might be something to some of those things. There's a reason they've made those things. So I don't know.
Wayne Dyer said if he knows that quartz crystal chairs are going to heal hemorrhoids, he's buying some quartz crystal chairs.
That's hilarious. Well, I talked to a person, gosh, I think it's someone that actually you were with just recently this weekend. She had told me, and I haven't gotten them yet, was put clear quartz crystals in every one of my windowsills around the house, and it'll raise the vibrational frequency of the space. And it's so awesome. And those were which is funny because when I first got involved in crystals, that was probably one of the last crystals I would have put my hands on.
Wow.
Because it was so common. It was just so common. I wanted everything that was different. I wanted different stones. I wanted big stones. I wanted all these different things. Because I would read up and I'm sure if I read up on all of it, it was probably all guiding me to enlightenment. So that's probably typically my stones that I have around.
Yeah.
But I realize because I've got this point, like I'll carry it with me. And this is when they have points like that, it's good for communication.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different reasons. And then you could set your intentions for anything, but those quartz are pretty huge. I mean, they use them in computers too. So.
Right. Well, I equate the clear quartz and the amethyst to lavender oil and peppermint oil. Like those four things, you have an arsenal, man. It's like they do so much. They do so much with just those 4 items. They're amazing.
You know what else is amazing? Get a clear crystal quartz and put it in your your water bottle, whatever you're drinking on a regular basis. I'm telling you, I've noticed it makes a difference. I can drink the same water out of the same container of a device and put it into 2 different cups, and I can have one of those cups that has, because I'll have like some different stones in another one, and then I'll have, you want to do it safely, obviously these have lids on, and the rocks aren't going to come through.
Yeah.
But I have my big jug, I have a clear crystal quartz in it and a copper, and I'll drink out of that, and it tastes so rich, it tastes so crisp, clean. There's so many different things that I notice about it, it's crazy. So I say just give it a try.
Yeah.
Because we started doing that, and I noticed a difference. The water just tastes good.
Awesome.
It's funny.
I'm writing that down.
Oh, there was something else I was going to tell you about too that I've noticed that was beneficial for people just to kind of do. Oh, rosemary. If you can get rosemary, fresh rosemary, and just boil some water, you don't put the rosemary in it yet. So for any of those people that are out there that may be experiencing hair loss or hair problems, I have read about this and hadn't tried it, right? Wasn't doing something for myself to even see if it would work. I'm starting to notice a difference already, like a fullness. But you just take, I got distilled water, boiled it, and then once it was hot, I took it off the stove, and then I put the rosemary into that, and I just let it steep for hours. And then afterwards, you just pour it into a container. You can put it into a spray bottle or whatever. Right now, I'm just using it into a bottle, and I get a pad wet, and I'll dampen the areas that I noticed that I have had hair loss on. And like I said, I'm noticing a difference, and it doesn't smell. Sometimes I feel like the rosemary oil is so overpowering that if you dilute it, whether it's an oil or the fresh rosemary, it works, but it changes the smell of everything too. And so it's not intolerable. So that was another thing that I recognized.
They could
They
dilute,
say, huh?
they could dilute rosemary oil with water in a spray bottle.
Yeah, but they say you want to use distilled water. At least that's the information that I've found so far online and stuff like that.
Water. Okay.
Yeah. So it just makes a difference. And like I said, it's not an overpowering smell, but it makes a difference. And what do you have to lose? I went to the health food store and bought some rosemary, it's all dried out, but I put it in the water and it's working perfectly. But it was like $4, I think, for this huge bag, a huge bag.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you have to lose? They say it's similar to what's in Rogaine, the main ingredient. They said it's just like that, but it's natural.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's another thing I've been giving a try, but I've been doing
And
it
then
for.
activate your pineal gland to send the frequency waves out to help your hair grow.
Your antenna.
We are capable of so much. It's so exciting to me. I love talking about it, and it's fun, and just being open to all of it. Just being open.
It is, but it's also sometimes it's not so easy when you say things like that, because I've said things the same way you just said it, because it seems so it's a simple thing and it's easy and it's fun until you're going through a problem. If you're going through a problem, your energy, because you're in a match for that problem, trying to find a solution for the problem. I don't try to find a solution for it anymore. That's just something that's landed in my lap several times. So hey, what the heck, give it a try. It's like I said before, if you think something's going to heal you, it will. I don't have an opinion about this. So, I mean, I'm trying some site care stuff, that some pills, they ain't doing shit. So that's one thing I'll tell you, that placebo is not working for me. But it's also, I know that there's so much to see even without our eyes. So there's just lots of good information there.
Cool. It's so fun, Bev. I love our conversations.
They were fun.
Any final words?
Have a magnificent week.
Yeah. This week that this video is coming out, it comes out on Thursday, which is, we're in the full moon energy right now. Full moon is on Thursday, and it goes like typically about 3 days after, and that puts us into Easter. So make it an incredible week.
That's right. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Like, right now we're in the energies of, so like when we were delving into stuff last week or whatever, I go online and I'm looking at, there's a couple people I follow, and they're talking about, well, now that you made it through that week, now we're into this week. And that week was all about going inside and dealing with a lot of these emotions. So a lot of the stuff we're exactly right where we're supposed to be, even though it feels sometimes like we're not.
Yeah.
So everybody, you're all right.
Yeah.
Just keep plugging on, reach out. If you need help, if you want to talk, we're always here.
Every step, every baby step, even a crawl, even like scooting on your belly, that is still movement forward. It's just like, just keep moving forward.
That's
You're
right.
gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. You're
right.
gonna do this. We're gonna get through this life here. I think it's, now that I'm where I'm at with myself and with life and life experiences that I've had, that when, many people talk about how this is a very highly difficult life to have, is the life on earth. And the fact that I'm still here and I'm still doing, I'm still trying, I'm still moving, I'm still attempting, and I'm pretty excited about that for myself. I'm like, well, look at you go, girl. You've endured a lot, and look how much you've learned, how much you've accomplished, how much you've gone through. You're doing great. So I would give that message to anybody. You're doing great. I don't even care if you're in the middle of a shitstorm right now. You are doing great. Just keep going, moving, keep moving. If you got to dodge side to side, you're dodging. Oh, here comes another one. You just got to be playful with it too. You got to bring the humor in. You cannot lose your humor. You cannot lose your humor. And that's what I see, with a lot of the posts on social media, the memes and stuff. They just crack me up because they're just so damn funny. So don't lose your humor about life.
Amen.
And because you know what, I didn't have it. And I know you're with me on this. We didn't have it when we were younger. Our humor was sarcasm. Our humor was based on sarcasm. And which was typically demeaning to others, putting others down, rude. But it was a way for us to speak our truth and feel safe about it, and then put a laughter at the end of it. Oh, I'm just kidding. No, when you get in that space of just pure loving humor, it's way more enjoyable than being so serious.
It's true.
So, all right, my friends, thanks for hanging out with us. Tea Time with Amy and Bev. We'll see you next week.
Bye.